You may recognize this building. It has been photographed and filmed many times in The Hague. It is also often seen on television. It is probably the most photographed and filmed building in The Hague. This is the building of the Dutch Parliament. This is where all the laws are made and the cabinet is controlled. But there is also another building next to it. There you see it. You can see the European flag flying there. This is the building of the representation of the European Commission and the European Parliament. The European Commission and the European Parliament itself sit in Brussels and Strasbourg. And there is where European laws are made. My name is Eduard Slootweg. Welcome here in The Hague. It's cold and rainy and it's January 2024. I worked for European Parliament for 30 years and 5 years I was the head of the office behind me. Damiana request asked me if I could tell something about the European elections, and that's what I'm going to do now. Behind me is the Dutch Parliament, the Tweede Kamer. It has 150 members. The Staten van Curaçao, they have 21 members, but the European Parliament is far larger, 720 members. So the European Parliament is quite big, with 720 members. Each member state has a quota of members, and the Netherlands can send 31 members. And it's the voter who decides who they are. The role of the European Parliament is similar as that of the Dutch Parliament, or in Curaçao, the Staten van Curaçao. They make the laws and they control the government. In Europe, the government is called European Commission. The first elections took place in 1979, so that was a long time ago. Anyone who is eligible to vote can vote for the European Parliament. In the case of the Netherlands, about 300,000 voters were denied the right to vote. They were simply not allowed to vote. 300,000 voters. That's about as many as live in the province of Zeeland. If the people of Zeeland was not allowed to vote for the European Parliament, the Dutch people would not allow it and the government would have to step down. But it wasn't Zeeland. No, it was the people who lived on the islands in the Caribbean. And nobody cared. This is the Council of State. The Council of State is the highest administrative court in the Netherlands. And two Aruban politicians, Mike Eman and karate champion Benny Sevinger, thought it was very unfair that they were not allowed to vote for the European Parliament. Mike Eman and Betty Sevinger ended up in the front of this highest administrative court in the Netherlands. The European Court was very clear in its decision. All European citizens, they have the right to vote for the European Parliament. And the kingdom is indivisible. Doesn't matter where you are born. In Curaçao, Aruba, Sint Maarten, Saba, Sint Eustatius or Bonaire. Or in the Netherlands. You are all Dutch citizens and so you are also European citizens. So you have all the rights as European citizens, including the right to vote. That was very good news for Mike Eman and Benny Sevinger. And in 2006, the Netherlands had to change their electoral law to allow the people of the Caribbean islands to vote. And in 2009, 30 years after the first elections of European Parliament, the people of the islands in the Caribbean could go to vote for the European Parliament. And here are we in the building, representation of Curaçao in the Netherlands. Just as the European Parliament has a representation in The Hague, so does Curaçao. And it is here. You might be wondering, well, it's very good that I can vote now for the European Parliament, but what's in for me? What's in for Curaçao? When I look here, I just see the flag of Curaçao, no other flag. So what good is Europe for Curaçao? Why do I have to vote? This is a very good question. Curaçao and the other islands are more distant from the European Union than the Netherlands. And you notice this in everyday life. In Curaçao, you pay with the guilder, and in the Netherlands, you pay with the euro, like in other EU member states. But your rights as citizens of the European Union are all the same. That means you can work and live in any EU member state if you want, without a visa or without a working permit. You cannot do this to other countries like the USA. There are more examples, but for that we have to go to Curaçao. The best man to ask is Damiana. He's the local manager of Europe Direct Curacao, a think tank and info point about the European Union funded by the European Commission. So let's go. Hi Steven, can you tell us why it's so important to vote here in Curacao for the European Parliament?
Hello, Eduard. Welcome to Curacao. As we
Thank
say
you.
here, Bombini. It is important for us to vote because the European Union, the European Commission, wants to hear the voices of the people also here in Curacao because we are also part of the European Union.
Can you show us around here in the city where we can see what is the connection between the European Union and Curacao?
Of course, you can join me. I will walk with you.
So, we're here at the Parliament of Curacao. You mentioned earlier that we have 21 seats here in the government. This is the Parliament which has those 21 seats who actually represent the public of Curacao, the population of Curacao.
Stephen, I've heard the European Union is the largest trading force in the world. Well, then it's very handy for Curacao to have a special connection with the European Union.
That is correct. We are here in the harbor of Curacao, one of the deepest ports in the Caribbean. And you can see that it's not only about trade and economy, but it's also the opportunity that it gives to students to not only remember that they can choose for the Netherlands to further their studies, but also the whole of Europe.
The European Union is not only about trade and hard economy, but it's also about culture. Look here, this is the old swinging lady, the Queen Emma Bridge. It's a pontoon bridge and from the 19th century. It is restored with money, with help from the European Union. I'll show you the sign. You can read it. It's financed by the European Development Fund. Venezuela lies very close to Curacao, and a number of people from Curacao played an important role in the War of Independence of Venezuela. Like here, Luis Brion. He made it to Lieutenant Admiral of Venezuela. People from Venezuela have always landed fish, vegetables and fruit in small boats and sold them on the floating market here in Curacao. But Venezuela closed the border with Curacao, and for years there was no trade. Recently it has been possible again, but only half of the boats are allowed to go. And the claim to Curacao has never been given up. With a country like that as a neighbor, it's good to be part of the European Union. All in all, there are many reasons to vote for the European Parliament here in Curacao. But first thing you have to do is to register. You do this on the website of the city of The Hague, www.stemmeninhetbuitenland.nl. You really have to do this before the 25th of April. When you live on Saba, Sint Eustatius and Bonaire, you don't have to register. But when you live in Curaçao, Aruba and Sint Maarten, you have to register.
Voters of Curacao, Sint Maarten and Aruba must register. This can be done online. This can be done through the website stemmenvanuithetbuitenland.nl, and then you can upload the form that you fill in, complete it, and also send it through email, while you also add on a copy of your identity. You will then be informed by the municipality of The Hague that you can collect the ballot paper from the Dutch representation in Curacao, in Aruba, or in Sint Maarten. You can fill in the ballot paper there and put it in a sealed envelope.
And this is because the Dutch representation is the postal polling station. They will count the votes on 6th June and send the results to the national polling station in The Hague. And the results will only be announced after the polling station. All the polling stations in the EU member states are closed. That will be on Sunday, 8th of June. That's how it works. So register before 25th of April at stemmenvanuithetbuitenland.nl and hand in your ballot paper at the Dutch representation before 6th June. So vote for the European Parliament.
Your vote also counts in the Caribbean part of the kingdom, so vote.
Vote.